This month, Vancouver Fire Department began testing an innovative new response to lower priority medical calls with more efficient SUVs staffed by a paramedic and an emergency medical technician rather than a fire engine and a full crew.
The trial of these SUVs on EMS calls, we are a very proud department of our history and our culture, but that aside, we are also very progressive in our thoughts. That's what I've seen. So I think we have the combination of both. It's important to have history and culture. We rely on that as a fire organization, but we also have really creative minds.
The new rescue units will be in service 10 hours a day during peak hours of 911 calls, 4 days a week, and will be mobile across the City of Vancouver and Fire District 5.
The rollout of these SUVs is critical and crucial and well overdue for our community. What these two SUVs will do to the system is really incredible if you look at station reliability and how quick they're able to respond to calls.
These are a standard set of medical equipment that we have. We have our ALS interventions, so we have all our medicines that you'd see on an engine or a fire truck in our ALS kits. We also have the typical life packs for any kind of heart, priority 1 emergent calls. We have our airway, which we're trying some different configurations, trying to downsize since we're in a smaller vehicle. So we have lighter weight air bottles and just a smaller compact of all the tools necessary that we need. We also have our backboard like you'd have on engines and fire trucks, which is collapsible, i.e. to fit in the SUV here. And we have anything from ALS, BLS to major trauma, medical, or just assists that we would go on, which is on a typical day, priority 1 through 5 calls. That's where our calls would actually show up, so we get the address as well as what priority is, whether we're going code, so light and sirens, if it's emergency, non-emergency, so we know how to respond. And it shows up with our map, where we're going, location. We're able to communicate with the other rigs, the other AMR units, and be able to communicate and see who's going to get there first.
Vancouver Fire Department responds to more than 20,000 calls a year. Well over half of those calls are requests for medical assistance.
We're going to be sharing a lot of our data. We're going to be trying to create efficiencies around what they're now doing. We have a pretty dynamic system status that has most of our ALS medic units in and around the area constantly in motion, constantly responding and then reconfiguring based on what we have as being demand data. That's now going to incorporate with what they're producing in that quick response vehicle data.
Next steps will be determined after reviewing the results following the 3-month trial period.
Obviously, we're adjusting service to patients. We want to monitor those patients in terms of their acuity, their medical necessity, to make sure that we're not causing harm by this change. So we'll be monitoring that very carefully. And the other part is looking to make sure that we are getting those improved response times to priority 1 and 2 calls. If those things, that's the purpose of the pilot, as we measure those, if those become things that we're seeing in real time, the next challenge is to go back and figure out what the cost of doing that would be long term.
Vancouver Fire Department is changing with the times. The new SUV pilot project was one recommendation from a 2012 Citizen Committee review of Vancouver Fire Department operations.